if I had the wishing star, I would have three wishes for Dreamworks. First wish would be to go back to their old logo and not that pretentious Marvel rip-off new logo. Greenlight Rise of the Guardians 2 and no more sequels to Boss Baby or Trolls. And to cancel the pointless live-action How to Milk Your Dragon remake. Thank you.
Welcome to my fiesta!
Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish, are directed by Joel Crawford and is the sixth installment in the Shrek franchise, the 43rd Dreamworks movie overall, as well as the 2022 sequel to 2011's Puss in Boots. Took them long enough to do a Puss in Boots sequel 11 years after the original, but here we are. Puss in Boots 2 The Last Wish tells the story taking place after the events of the first film, but still before the events of Shrek 2, where Puss realizes he has now died 8 times and used up 8 of his lives, so Death Wolf is coming for him. Puss initially retires and goes to live in a cat retirement home until he hears of this magic wishing star in which Kitty Softpaws, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and a giant Jack Horner are going after. And with this, Puss hopes to restore his lives. My review of this movie is hardly the first to address it, but I could not care less about the trailers or marketing for The Last Wish because the marketing did it no justice. It looked like a bunch of kissy Lissa from the trailers. I did not warm up to the new animation style when I first saw the trailers, and I was like, really, a Puss in Boots 2? Is this just an afterthought? Do we need this? But maybe I was too quick to judge the movie because the critics went crazy for The Last Wish and called it the best Shrek movie since Shrek 2. I mean, so the critics convinced me to go in more open-minded because just like a cover is not the book, a trailer is not the movie, and whoa, I'm happy to say this is one of the never judge a book by its cover Dreamworks movies. Kind of like the first Kung Fu Panda. I mean, I mean, this sequel surprised the hell out of me by how entertaining, how personal and heartfelt, and how deep it got. Yeah, this is without a doubt the most surprising movie from 2022, I and it's the DreamWorks sequel that surprised me and took me off guard more than any other, and one of the uh, great animated flicks of 2022. I mean, I can see why it received a BAFTA nomination last night for Best Animated Film, although, and 2022 was by a long shot the best year for DreamWorks in the 2020s thus far, with both this and The Bad Guys. I mean, though I will say I may be in the big minority, but I'm more of a fan of the first Puss in Boots than this. So yeah, I still think the first Puss in Boots is wildly underrated. Yeah, I think the Shrek Forever After and the first Puss in Boots are the most underrated in the Shrek franchise, and I would like to think the first Puss in Boots won't be forgotten just because it's getting overshadowed by Last Wish now in terms of praise. And I wouldn't even say this is the best DreamWorks sequel. I mean, it's a no Shrek 2, it's a no Kung Fu Panda 2, it's certainly no How to Train Your Dragon 2. I would even put Madagascar 2 above The Last Wish, though it is unquestionably superior to Trolls World Tour. And The Last Wish I would probably rank at number 4 of the 6 Shrek movies. I mean, it's I'd take it over Shrek the Turd and even Forever After, just slightly. But yeah, the first 2 Shrek movies and the first Puss in Boots are still my favourites, and I love that Puss in Boots 2 continues to continue well with the Shrek franchise's imaginative way of modernizing fairy tales, and it's a new animation style which the bad guys also used. That is reminiscent of Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, it's gave this a sequel a unique feel and helped the action feel that much more intense. Like when Puss would go into battle with his sword, I mean, it would literally be like you were watching a comic book, uh, and Antonio Banderas very much in his prime as Puss in Boots. I mean, voicing Puss in Boots to him at this point is just another day at the office, and and Puss in this movie very much feels like he's growing older and coming out of his prime, and he wants to regain his prime. So that made his story all the more personal and deaf for Wolf, I have to say. I mean, uh, greatest Shrek antagonist since the fairy godmother from Shrek 2. I mean, when you make a wolf the Grim Reaper with blades, I mean, you can see why he is the first, foe that Puss has faced that makes his hair just stick up, and he's the first villain that Puss is legit scared shitless of whenever he's appears, and he even has this creepy whistling a sound whenever he's coming for Puss, and he may even go down in history with Grimmel the Grizzly, Drago Bloodfist, and Lord Shen as one of the best Dreamworks villains periods. And yeah, I will. That's the one thing The Last Wish has over the first Puss in Boots. The villains are done better here, and the other antagonist, Jack Horner. I mean, he is so cruel, and I wasn't aware of his, fairy tale or nursery rhyme until this movie. But Death Wolf was technically just doing his job as Death, whereas Jack, he wants to get the wishing star for power and control over the magic for himself, and he has and he sees everybody as lesser than him. I mean, he is so cruel. He makes Jack and Jill from the first Puss in Boots look like a total saints in comparison. I mean, all they wanted was a family, but Jack Horner doesn't even want that. And Goldilocks and the Three Bears are a delightful bunch, and Florence Purr. I mean, she puts on the most accurate British voice I've ever heard her do. I don't technically count them as antagonists because Goldilocks and the Three Bears arc as well. Goldilocks is longing for a family, and the Three Bears take her in as their adopted daughter. So their storyline was sweeter than I expected. Oh, and Kitty Softpaws, voiced once again by the superb Selma Hayek, is back, baby, and she and Puss's banter slash romance is as strong as it was in its predecessor. Though I do wish Kitty was appeared in the movie sooner than she does. So I would have liked her to have just a tad more screen time. And the action scenes, will get to your hearts are going as much as Puss's heart whenever he sees a death wolf. Literally, like the first action scene where he's taking down that rock giant to save the city. But probably my favorite fight scene is his first encounter with the Death Wolf in the bar when the Death Wolf's blade literally scratches Puss's forehead. He's the first villain to make Puss in Boots the Legend bleed. Holy shit! I mean, yeah, finally, Dreamworks are going back to darker movies again, and taking a break from babyish ones, and climax at the Wishing Star, where every single character comes together for the Wishing Star, and Jack Horner does get a satisfying just dessert. Yeah, that was uh, some tremendous swashbuckling fun that does give every character, well, a a a stronger resolution, and the soundtrack keeps the Western and Spanish vibes of the first film perfectly also. Uh, though here's where we get into where my negatives with The Last Wish. Like I said, this, as much as I enjoyed it, this is not a perfect sequel, no pun intended. And I do think people slightly overpraise it like it's better than God. For me, the one character that could have been of Mrs. and the one that I found annoying was Perito the dog. Yes, I know. Call me heartless for not liking Perito, but I mean, did we need him? No. I mean, we could have just had Kissy and Puss, and it would have been just fine. And say what you want about Humpty Dumpty from the first Puss in Boots, but he was, well, a character who had a extremely compelling story and friendship with Puss. I mean, I think that storyline was more powerful than anything in this movie. Perito just felt like the Humpty Dumpty replacement now that Humpty is sadly deceased. And also, uh, I do think the Shrek Easter eggs and nods were not needed. Like when they recreated the shot from Hakuna Matata from Lion King with Shrek, Donkey, and Puss walking by the moon on a log. I'm like, really? And also Puss and Kissy sailing on the ship too far, far away. I'm like, I get that you want to, show how Puss in Boots ties into Shrek and how he got to the poisoned apple in Far, Far Away. I don't think that the fan service well was needed. Like, that's why I praise the first Puss in Boots of having no Shrek at all, and no Shrek fan service. It was its own story. So overall, even if I don't think The Last Wish is the masterpiece that everybody is saying, it is a still pleasant surprise. And if they did a Puss in Boots free, now I would be more open to it. And it's certainly one of the best post How to Train Your Dragon free Dreamworks movies, along with Abominable and The Bad Guys. I give Puss in Boots The Last Wish 4 stars out of 5. Great movie. So yeah, it's a great pity that Dreamworks couldn't keep up their grand return to form. I mean, because after this, we've got to sit through, well, the notorious Trolls 3 band together. The pain, and even worse, the shitty ass How to Milk Your Dragon remake. I mean, the death of Dreamworks. Well, I mean, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. What are your thoughts on Puss in Boots 2 The Last Wish? Did you like this or the first Puss in Boots better? And where does it rank in your Shrek ranking? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow on Twitter and Instagram. And I'll see you all next time. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.